Hello, what's up everyone, and welcome to another episode of In Silence. Is war necessary? That's a big, deep question that's hard to answer. Is war necessary? And under what circumstances are they necessary? First, I'd like to invite you to this space of critical thinking and contemplation. I may take pauses of silence, so don't be worried about that. If I ever stop, just stop to think, stop to contemplate with me. So is war necessary? Well, let's start with this. I'll start by saying this. What is necessary is necessary. Well, what does that mean? What makes something necessary? What is truly necessary is necessary. That means we determine what is necessary based on what we want. Well, how do we know if something is truly necessary versus something that we just deem as necessary? Are you with me so far? So what makes something necessary? Let's start by outlining the basic things that we deem as necessary, as always necessary. First of all, something like getting food, acquiring food and shelter. That's absolutely necessary and vital. Well, let's ask this question. What makes it necessary? What makes anything necessary is this. It comes down to this. What is necessary is what is done to keep life going. So we have food and shelter for our survival. But why survive? To keep life going. But then we have other things that we deem as necessary, which may or may not be necessary. There are a lot of gray zones. For example, I can say it's necessary to get married and then have children. Why is that necessary? I can argue either side. I can say it's not necessary or it is necessary. I can say it is necessary because it keeps life going. It enables the creation of life to continually unfold, to continually be manifested. But I can also say, well, it's not necessary because if my only job is to keep this body going, then it may not be necessary to get married and have children. So, as you can see so far, there are many things that are, I'm just using one example here, but there are many things that may be absolutely necessary for one person, but can be absolutely unnecessary for another. Well, here's something obvious that's unnecessary. Smoking. For the smoker, it's necessary because the smoker wants some temporary relief, wants pleasure. So he can say it's necessary to smoke. But for someone who wants to be healthy, happy, strong, and live a long, healthy life, that's absolutely unnecessary. Smoking is unnecessary. It's not worth doing. You see it as destructive. It's a destructive and harmful habit. So why do it? It's unnecessary. Eating lots of foods, overeating, eating junk food, it's unnecessary. If your goal is to be happy, healthy, strong, and live a long, healthy life, then it's absolutely necessary to exercise, to have a clean, balanced diet. And all the other things that come along. Remembering that health is not just physical, but it's also mental health, and there are social elements to that as well. So what makes something necessary? It mostly depends on what we want. And what you want may vary, it may differ from what another person wants. And yet what is absolutely necessary and vital is what keeps life going. So here we come to this question. Is war necessary? Well, one side may say, it's absolutely necessary. I have to, if someone is out there trying to kill me, trying to kill my family, making my life absolutely dreadful, then I have the right to defend myself and kill them. This is their mentality, that I have to kill the oppressor that's trying to kill me. That's the only way I can survive. And it's necessary because that's what keeps life going. That's one argument. The other argument is, well, it's not necessary at all. Violence is never necessary. But then the counter argument is this, to that is, well, of course it's necessary because I have to survive. And this enemy is trying to stop me from surviving, so it's necessary to eliminate the enemy for myself to survive. That's the argument of war when it's necessary. But that simply does not answer the question, is it really necessary? If you know peace, then you know that violence is not necessary. There's nothing for you to defend. Peace does not need defending. Truth does not need defending. But if you never know truth, you never know peace, then you will always have something to defend. Jesus said, turn the other cheek. That famous teaching. What does that mean? It basically means practice non-violence. Violence is unnecessary. That's the teaching. It seems that humanity have always reverted to answering violence with violence, and that never worked out. Jesus taught non-violence, turn the other cheek, and then they crucified him for teaching non-violence, tortured him to death. And yet in the world, we always see ongoing, endless wars where madness is demonstrated over decades and centuries. All over the world, we see madness and violence, bloodshed. And both sides, whoever's going to war, always argue that it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary to go to war. But you see, that never worked out. And yet we still do it today. So let me ask you this, is war really necessary? My personal opinion is this, it's so hard to answer that. But I would say, as a person that practices nonviolence, war is unnecessary. Killing someone else for whatever beliefs they have, even if they're an enemy trying to oppress me, I don't need to answer back with violence, because I only win my freedom from within me. The war within is greater than the war without. If I win the war in my mind, then I won't need to go to war out in the world. And most people today, they're at war with themselves. And that's why this war within themselves is manifested out in the world in various forms. Warfare has evolved into chemical warfare and even nuclear warfare, which is absolutely devastating. It's nothing but destructive, and yet we all know this, and yet we still do it. We're ignorant. Why is this? Why is it that even though war is necessary, we still choose to do it? It's because of this. It's because you don't know peace. You do not value peace. How can you value something that you don't know? You don't have peace. So you go to war. And if you're not physically going to war yourself, you're always holding someone else in opposition, the person who has different beliefs and values and comes from a different culture and race and ethnicity and country. They're always in opposition to you. You always have an enemy out there that is absolutely evil and you are absolutely innocent. But why not win against the evil in yourself first? It's because you don't know peace. So how can you value something that you don't know? If you truly valued peace, you'd be a peacemaker. That's why Jesus said, turn the other cheek, and the kingdom of God is within you. What does that mean? Who are you? If the kingdom of God is within you, who are you? And how should you live life? It means you should take on the responsibility that the eternal truth, the essence of who you are, is worth living up to and realizing in yourself and in others that we are all the same. The mindset of this is my enemy and he's different or she's different than me comes from absolute ignorance. Because if you're living in the truth, if you honor the truth, then you see yourself as life. When you see yourself as life, you see everybody else as life and no different from you. And that's what makes life beautiful. We share the same essence. We are all the same. And so a peacemaker does not need to resort to violence. And I encourage you to be a peacemaker. If you're listening to this, you may not be the one that's going to war, or you're not in the position of political power, but you can choose to make peace in yourself, to be at peace with who you are, to be at peace with yourself. When you are at peace with yourself, you don't see anyone else as the other. Separation is the greatest illusion. Life is indivisible. What does it mean that life is indivisible? It means that life is one thing. It cannot be separated. It only manifests itself in various different ways as you and I, and then we play this game called what you call life, where there's the you and I and them and him and her and they and whatever. But in reality, it's all one. It's only one. One being, one life. The heartbeat of the universe. Beats harmony, expresses itself as harmony. And you are the expression of harmony. You are the expression of truth. The peace of God surpasses all understanding. And yet you don't value peace. You value material things. People think peace is something written on a paper and signed between two countries, a treaty. It's not that. Peace is within you. And then also, peace is you and I coming together against all odds and embracing each other as the same. Division is caused by hatred. Hatred is caused by ignorance. Unity comes from understanding and peace and love. We are stronger together. Not when we're divided. And yet, how easily is it today to be so divided? You see it everywhere. Seems like everybody's divided. Whether it's in a third world country, second world country, first world country, east or west, north or south, Africa, America, Arabia, Asia, Europe, Australia, wherever you are. Division, separation, hatred, ignorance is bred everywhere. And so, war seems like it's necessary. But it's really not. Peace and peacemaking is more necessary than war and bloodshed. War and violence. So remember this. Only what is truly necessary is necessary. There are many things that are unnecessary that we still do. Like some bad habits that you have. You know they're unnecessary, but you still do them. Compare it to the good habits that you have, the things that are absolutely necessary that you actually do. It's a different energy. When you do something that's truly necessary and you do it right, versus something that's unnecessary and you do it anyway. It's a different way of existence. One breeds evil, ignorance, hatred, destruction, and the other gives health, happiness, strength, peace, love, joy, unity. With that said, that's all I have to share today. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.